This year for Magic the Gathering, in my opinion, is likely going to be a banger. We have a ton of really creative and fun sets, and yeah, I know there's Universes Beyond sprinkled in there, and that might not be for everybody, but it's a wild success from a numbers and engagement standpoint. But when it comes to Magic and all things that are going to be cardboard this year for my favorite trading card game, there has been a decision that I aggressively disagree with. And of course, it has to do with the Commander format. Now, I want to talk about that decision today. I want to talk about when Wizards of the Coast has gone and done the opposite of that decision, done what I think they should do, and it's been a wild success. And then I want to break down why I think they made the decision that we're going to discuss. If you like conversations like this, make sure you click the subscribe button down below, because for a small channel like mine, it helps more than you can possibly imagine. And while you're down there, give the like button a little tickle. So if you've been tuned in, you'll already know this, but if you haven't, Aether Drift is dropping, after the recording of this video in a couple weeks, and we are getting not 4, but 2 commander decks. And we do have an entire video essay from the creators of Magic the Gathering as to why there's 2 commander decks and why there's not 4. And taking all that in and accepting the fact that, hey, this is the way it is and these points may or may not be valid, I still think that not having 4 commander decks for a Magic the Gathering release is the biggest mistake that you can make. And not necessarily from a number standpoint. It's not going to kill the game or none of the boxes are going to sell. There's going to be no value. No, I'm talking about the magic of Magic the Gathering. What makes Magic so magical? And to understand that, we have to all accept that at almost every local game store across at least the United States, you can almost always walk in the front door at a peak time and find a game of Magic the Gathering to play. And more often than not, that game that you find is going to be a Commander game. You couple that with the fact that outside of a pre-release, with all of these other formats being higher powered legacy, older formats, or really not taking off, speaking of standard, Commander is the best way to engage with a set release from a sitting down, playing the mechanics, and playing in the themed universe of that set. Yes, I know pre-release is always going to be the king of that, but it is just a single one-off event. Without a 4-deck Commander set, in my opinion, you lose some of that magic, that ability to sit down with your friends, play with the mechanics that were just released, with the art styles and themes and back and forth and interaction that was all designed to be played in a beautiful bubble. And because of this, it's harder, in my opinion, to really get attached to a set. I would be remiss if I didn't say I truly believe there are people that sit down at every single set release. In fact, I don't truly believe this. I know people who go by the local game store with friends for every release. They buy some Commander decks, they sit down either at the store or back at someone's house, crack open some adult beverages, and play with those decks. In fact, a lot of people keep them sealed for game nights where like, hey, let's go back and let's play a Commander deck set from this set. And they all sit down and they have some fun. And yeah, they may upgrade those decks over time, but many of them choose to keep the decks in the same, at least format, if not the same set, if not the same theme. It's a beautiful way to experience the fun that is Magic the Gathering. And without that, and without standard being a thing, I think you lose something there. So why would Wizards of the Coast do this? Well, we see this is a questionable decision because we have insane success for sets that have multiple Commander decks before it. There are several that we will take a look at, later on in the channel. We'll look at these down the road as we track the values of these things on cardboardfinance.com. But the one that jumps off the page to me are the Universes Beyond Commander sets, where you have stuff like Warhammer, Fallout, and Doctor Who. And we'll stick Warhammer and stick it on the shelf for a second because it doesn't have a booster product. But the idea that you can sit down and in these universes play Magic the Gathering, play Magic in the Fallout universe, play Magic in the Doctor Who universe, shines a broader light on what hardcore Magic fans want. And yeah, I'm using Universes Beyond to explain this because it's really easy to see when you think, well, of course people want to play with the Fallout universe cards. Of course they want to play with the Doctor Who universe cards in a silo. Well, the most magic of magical fans want to do the exact same thing, but just with Magic cards. Heck, it's one of the reasons why Foundations was so beloved, even without a Commander product. People felt like it was truly Magic at its most magical. For this reason, I think the 4-deck commander set, in its history of every product that we have tracked for sales-wise, every product that we have tracked for community engagement, and all the fun people have had picking up and putting down cards for commander decks, is absolutely the way to go. Now, that doesn't mean 2 commander decks is bad, it just feels like it's missing something. But video essay aside and public statements aside, let's put on our tinfoil hats and talk about, well, why did Wizards of the Coast do this? And well, first and foremost, it is less design work. It's less work. It's less products that need to be made, it's less cards that need to be created, and it's less testing that has to be done. There is a great deal of pressure for these commander decks to have at least a bit of back and forth. I know that there's always a best deck, a most powerful deck, and a least powerful deck, but there is always a good amount of back and forth, and not having to actually test these things in these ecosystems and create that balanced bubble environment gives you a bit of leeway. It allows you to have, hey, 2 decks that are of a similar power that you can just buy and power up, and we don't really have to be concerned with what power level they play with, against their peers, because we just put the power level conversation, or sooner or later tier 1 through 4 conversation, on the onus of the people who own the deck. This to me is just, if I'm being quite honest, it's lazy. I don't like that. I like the 4 commander decks. I want to see more design there, but further than that, it does kind of push people towards limited play. And when you push people towards limited play, saying, hey, you want to play, remember, we're putting our tinfoil hat on here, you want to play with the latest and greatest Magic the Gathering experience, you want to play with these cards, and you want to do it in this theme, you want all the drifting of Aether that you can muster, well, guess what? You got to do it here in limited. And their goal, they have publicly stated here, the more limited you play and everything is standard legal, the more likely you are to convert those limited cards that you pick up playing limited over and over again into a standard deck, sit down and play standard. And I know, we have our tinfoil hat on and everyone's going to yell at me, why do I care if people are playing standard when Commander's a thing? Well, here's the deal. Commander sells commander decks on release, and Wizards of the Coast is incentivized to sell commander decks on release, but standard sells boxes. Standard sells cards. When Standard is a popular format, it is of the best interest of Wizards of the Coast to have those cards powerful and have them being played and have them selling, because more and more people are coming into the format, more and more people are changing and building decks. There's rotation, so you're kind of incentivized to buy the new thing. Standard, being a healthy format, is good for the bottom line of Wizards of the Coast. And with their push towards standards here, my tinfoil hat theory, my big conspiracy, we're getting into conspiracies, is they wanted to give room for limited and standard to grow a bit here, to take the onus off Commander. And while they're still supporting Commander, and Commander will still be the center, spotlight, and focal point for all of 2025, I'm sure, it does leave a little bit of breathing room in the play ecosystem. That is my tinfoil hat theory. All in all, I think, in my opinion, I'll be a bit volatile here. I'm going to be a bit hyperbolic. So if you stuck around this long, you get some hyperbole from me. I think this is one of the worst decisions you can make. Magic the Gathering is not Pokemon. Part of the beauty of Magic the Gathering is the play. In fact, it's almost the whole thing. People collect Magic the Gathering by blinging out their decks. That's how they collect Magic in 2025. And not having the ability to sit down, have an entry point, have an onboarding ramp, and have a bubble within a set release theme, universe, and story where you can just sit down, crack decks, and play Commander is, well, it's a failure. And there's really no reason not to do it, in my opinion. That's just all I have to say about it. I think this is a mistake, but hey, let me know what you think in the comment section below. While you're down there, hit the like button on this video, because I never show the like button any love, and I'm going to link a video over here that I think you'll like about Commander. Thank you so much for hanging out. Until next time, you all know me. My name is Josh, and we'll see you around. All right.